What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the John Squared Game Show, episode 35. My name is John Townsend. Joining me is John Rayfield. John, how are we doing tonight?
So good.
So good, bro. We got everything. We got all of the mess out of the way. I'm taking this off, bro. It's too hot for this.
It's
Um, yeah, how was your week?
long. Although I didn't realize it was Wednesday. I thought it was Tuesday until like
hmm
2:30 today.
Yeah, I was I woke up today and like, when I'm at work and I have like a little bit of downtime, I'll maybe throw some articles up into our Google Docs to get the show ready and stuff. And I just haven't been working.
Yeah.
So I haven't been doing that. Um
I
just kidding.
I felt bad.
If my boss is watching this, of course I'm not doing any preparations for this during work. I'm not getting paid for that. What are you talking about? What's
No,
up?
he's just doing his work. I felt bad because I saw you just threw headlines in and I was like, okay, we're not doing articles. And then I just threw a stupid bullshit headline in and then ignored it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so what John and I had the same idea. We were on the same wavelength without actually saying it to each other. But I was listening back of last week's episode and was kind of like, man, I really try to read a lot. I make a good attempt to read often, and it's just boring. I think at least. And one thing that I wanted to do when we were making the show is I wanted it to be something that I would want to listen to. And when I'm just going on reading shit, um, I don't know if it's the fact that I sound like an idiot and I don't know how to read, or if it's just not entertaining to listen to someone read an article. So we're gonna kind of give like bullet point stuff, but I'm gonna try not to be reading as much and more just talking about whatever we're talking about. Um,
I was gonna say it's tough to spend an entire episode reading when both of us are illiterate.
yeah, yeah, it's truly difficult. Once we get the funds to pay for somebody to come on and read, like I'd be interested in that. Or even like an AI, have them read the article and I
Ooh.
just listen. Yeah, like the
AI.
the options are limitless. All right. So we got a couple things to talk about today. For those you don't know, Elden Ring reviews dropped earlier. Pretty much broke gaming Twitter, gaming the internet. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Before we get into that, we're gonna give our. We actually got to finally play Horizon Forbidden West, so we're gonna talk about that. But before we get into that, I'd like to remind you guys that the best way to support us right now is patreon.com/John Squared Games. On patreon.com/John Squared Games, we have three tiers. All tiers will give you access to our monthly gaming book club episode. Every single tier gets you entries into our gaming gift card giveaway. The higher up the tier you are, the more entries you'll get. Each of them give you the ability to write into our weekly mailbag segment. That was just the the $5 tier. We're gonna open that up to every tier. And the highest tier gets you a shout out on the show each and every week, which our lone highest tier patron right now is Zach Townsend. Shout out to you, brother.
Ta-da!
We love and appreciate you. So yeah, if you guys aren't interested in paying, no big deal. Leaving a review, liking, subbing, sharing with a friend is greatly appreciated as well. Um, so yeah, let's get into our Horizon Forbidden West thoughts. The first thing I want to ask you is, how many hours have you put in so far, John?
10 to
Roughly, I don't.
12. I
Okay,
would say like 10 to 12, I think, give or take.
okay. And so we're gonna stay spoiler free. Mostly anything that I'll give like a light spoiler warning. Um, Especially if we're in the first. If you said 8 to 10, I am about 20 to 25 hours in, and I still feel like I'm at the beginning portions of the game. So even
I
if
feel
like
like
anything is sad, it's really not like there hasn't been that much happening just yet.
I might have more time than I think in. Um, because I feel like I'm pretty deep in the story. I want to see if maybe I can check my PlayStation app and get an actual time because It doesn't pertain to the
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
at all. Just yeah,
Well, so what are your first impressions?
I fucking love
Walk
it.
us through. Okay.
I love this game. I the climbing. I mean, the climbing. Uh, from a video game standpoint, may I like it's good. From a me standpoint, that's critical about everything. There's like some mountains you can climb and some you can't. That's doesn't really make sense to me because they look the same. But the combat I was upset about, and I talked to you about that, how I said like my play style doesn't really work. It's more so that you don't just have to like upgrade your tree, but like you have to sort of like not be as aggressive as I normally am. Like you actually have
Yeah.
to kind of think instead of just going swinging.
Yeah, so your style of game, at least from what when you streamed Zero Dawn earlier or in the middle of last year, it was very melee
Yeah.
heavy, and it was really cool to see that they introduced like combos, and maybe there was combos in Zero Dawn, but this they're like very obvious ones that do certain things, like they stagger enemies and stuff like that. But it does seem to be that the only time melee is viable is against humans. Um, Machines, it's
Uh,
still you can't just take them
yeah.
head on the entire time at least.
No, I don't. I genuinely don't think I've ever. I don't think I fought a machine like head on. I think I've done it once because it was almost dead. But for the most part, I'm fighting from a distance, which isn't normally how I do that.
Yeah,
I don't like it's not my preferred thing, but it actually, I like that it's challenging me. It's
yeah, to
not
change it up a
challenging
little
in the
bit.
way that like yeah, that like Sifu is, where like it's frustrating. It's challenging in more of like it's more fun.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that you mentioned the climbing as like something that kind of bothered you a little bit. Like, not, obviously not like negative enough to like.
No, it's just one of those that were like logistically, if two mountains look the same, why can you only climb one?
Yeah,
And I get
I
that from like a building like a developer's point of view, but
right. I found that you can climb more things than you can't.
yeah,
So that was really cool. I thought that maybe how a lot of people were expecting just like being able to climb anything like in Breath of the Wild. It's almost becoming like the cliche thing to compare everything to, and obviously, like Elden Ring reviews are comparing it to that as well. But uh, it, I didn't feel like I was missing it that much. I knew the visuals were going to be good. I did not expect them to be this good.
yeah,
I played the first maybe 3 hours or so on the fidelity mode, the 30 frames per second with all of the added features, and I just, dude, like, uh, that set a new standard for me. Where it was Ratchet and Clank
it,
before, this just the density and how just massive the world is, and the detail that you could go in some fucking field in the middle of nowhere that maybe like 5% of players are, and you zoom in on something and it has detail to it. It feels
yeah,
like everything was
it has
thought out.
texture.
Yeah, yeah. Looks amazing. I ended up continuing on the frame rate mode, um, where it obviously still looks really good, but they overcompensate some of the stuff with like some anti-aliasing type stuff, which is a little can get a little too much when like you're looking out to like in the sandy areas where it feels like everything is like really really like sharp edges. But it obviously not. It still looks incredible.
I mean,
But
even like looking out, like landscapes that are far away look insane.
yeah, yeah.
It looks so
This is a
fucking good.
photo mode game for sure.
Yeah,
This is one where you stop and you're like almost in awe, like looking at like how did we go from Pong, to this, like, the 8-bit character models and stuff. Then this is where we are now. Like, it's just crazy, man.
it's photorealistic. Yeah, like it's insane. I can't wait to see like 2 or 3 years down the line.
Yeah, so I tweeted something like that where I was saying like this is just the start of this generation. Like what are we if you look at games at the start of the PlayStation 4 generation and like look at where it ended up with games like God of War and The Last of Us, Uncharted, um I can't imagine what a Naughty Dog game is going to look like in 2 years. Or even The Last of Us remake if that comes out like this year.
I mean, imagine like I'm not so much thinking about Naughty Dog, but like think of what Spider-Man is gonna look like
Hmm.
and what Wolverine is gonna look like.
Yeah.
If you want to go Naughty Dog, think of like the what is the multiplayer? What was the
Factions.
name? Yeah. Think of what that's gonna look like.
Yeah, I'm mostly talking about whatever their next
Big project is.
flagship. Yeah, I don't know what to call it because we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But Naughty Dog, they're them and Santa Monica are just Ratchet and Clank in this game look incredible, but when you think about the best looking games of last generation, it is God of War, it is Last of Us Part Two, and so
Yeah.
whenever we get and the reason I didn't mention God of War Ragnarok is because it is a cross gen game where there maybe
So
is
so is this.
right, right. So that's what I'm saying. Naughty Dog, their next project,
Is
more likely
just
than not, is a PS5 only. And I think that's when we're going to start seeing some incredible stuff. Not that this isn't. So also another thing when I listen back on our Pokemon Legends Arceus, I felt like I was being overwhelmingly negative. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the negative stuff that I have to say about Horizon out of the way, and then I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things that I love. The biggest thing the biggest gripe that I have with this game is the combat still. Um, the there's been multiple fights in this game, boss battles, Slitherfang, the snake thing, for example. There were times where I felt helpless. Like there was a lightning or like some kind of electric attack that he did that I it was like he would hit you with it, you would be shocked, then you would fall, and then as you get up, he's starting the move again, so you have no way out. And I died in that fight twice because I just couldn't do anything. I ended up finding out that you had to jump up to something to to avoid it, but
yeah.
if he destroys those things. So if you're in an area where he destroyed both of them, you can't make it to any of the posts to jump up. So I was just fucked. So I really feel like this game needed a like a parry or some kind of um shield or blocking mechanic. And so this is the one thing that I'll say like is a light spoiler because I just kind of got it, but it's a piece of equipment. Um it is the trip caster where you can set like the traps, the line. I 20 hours into the game, I finally unlocked this one where it's the tripcaster and the line that you place puts up a shield and
Oh, okay.
it protects you from projectiles.
I was gonna
Um,
say because I was gonna say I had the Tripcaster for like at least 5 hours,
no,
but
yeah,
like I
this one in
that I haven't gotten
particular,
to yet.
yeah. Um, so that and like so that helped a little bit more, but it feels like that in those fights, and even then I fought another machine later. I don't want to give away a lot of the machines, but I when I'm fighting them, sometimes it's like I feel like the only defense is dodging or healing. Like you just have to get your ass
Yeah,
beat and then heal, which is it's just not that fun. A lot of times in these big battles, I just am wishing they were done. Um,
I there was only one. I'm not gonna say it either because it's
Mm.
I think pretty big, but I where I was like genuinely like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But like
yeah.
once I got it.
Yeah, it feels like you have to die or you have to just continuously be pushing up to heal yourself and make sure you have like full berries if
Well,
at all
I,
times.
the berries thing is 100%. That
Yeah.
the one of the biggest, like every time I upgrade, I always make sure I have like 4 to 6 like skill points. And I'll upgrade either melee, something with my bow, but either whatever it is, I always add in something to the survival one
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
can get more berries and they heal more and do all that shit. But
Right.
every fight, I'm halfway through, I realize I'm in over my head, and I try to like climb up a mountain and try to run and just start
Yeah.
picking away.
Um but yeah, that is really the only time where I'm like, oh man, I'm like just not having fun. Um but it's it only been two moments in particular, and they have been like one of the more recent ones, which is maybe why I feel a little bit more down about the combat, because still the combat cycle where you're shooting piece components off machines, stuff like that feels satisfying always. I still love all of that stuff, but it just felt like that's where they maybe could have made an improvement because they improved on everything else. Traversal is so much better. Even using the glider, I use that shit even for nothing, bro. Even if I don't
I
have to,
abuse
I
it.
use it. Yeah, it's
I
so fun to use.
A jump you can 100% land with no damage. I still use the glider just
Yeah.
because.
hmm
Like
Also, do you think that the fall damage is like very forgiving? Like, I don't think I've taken fall damage once.
I have,
Okay.
but I also have this thing about me where like I have to jump off high things and see what happens. I didn't Ghost of Tsushima,
It's all right, man.
Ghost of Tsushima all the time when you learn like the you can roll as soon as you land and you won't take damage.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just started jumping off everything to see how high I could get, and you learn eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. You
But
should
that's not
have
really
a
the
you
same.
should have a meter for like every game. Like
Jump
measuring
meter.
how far you can go without dying. Um Yeah, there's been a lot of times where I'm like, oh shit, I'm fucked, and she like lands and it's just like fine. I'm like, oh okay, because you don't unlock the glider until maybe like 6 to 7 hours into the game. It felt like, if
Yeah,
you're especially if you're like doing a lot of side quests, because I it took me 8 hours to have the like where the game really opens up. Um,
I did all the side quests from that part because I was nervous, but I haven't done that many since.
yeah, I've been doing pretty much every single one. Uh,
Sh-
yeah, I that so the I went through something when I started playing this game where I was like for the podcast I want to have as much completed so I can talk about as much as possible, give like a better overview of the game, but at the same time like I've been waiting 4 years for this game,
Yeah,
and I just want to enjoy it. So I've been obviously I took time off work to play it, even though I didn't play that much on Monday. I literally woke up Friday and I played it all day long. And so I was like, I'm doing everything, bro. I'm sure that's gonna tail off at some point where or it's gonna wear off and I'm gonna be like, all right, like now if I'm 60, 70 hours in, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna move on now.
that's normally I do a couple that like I know will give me good like either good equipment
Yeah.
or good like materials,
hmm
and I'll stick to the story. And then once I beat the story, I'll go back and do all the side missions just to stay in the world.
Yeah. They are
Di-
hella generous with skill points.
Oh,
Like
they throw them out left and right.
every side quest is like two extra ones,
Yeah,
which I really enjoy because there's a lot of stuff on the skill tree, and I this game really empowers you with like leveling up and gaining skills and learning new things and trying new things out. Where there's a lot of times in games where you get one skill point for every time you level up, and there's so many different options, like you literally can't fill out the skill tree, so you really have to be like picking and choosing. This
Or you have
feels
to like
like
level up twice because everything's like it's worth 2 or 3 skill points. You have to keep
right,
leveling up,
right.
save them, and yeah,
Um, this just feels like if I don't get this now in like 25 minutes, I can get it.
yeah, it'll be
Um,
fun.
which I yeah, I actually really enjoy it. Um, but yeah, so the thing about the side quests is I think they have been really entertaining. I really every single one that I've done felt like it could have been a main quest because they are like pretty fleshed out and the characters are interesting. So
Well,
I've really enjoyed everyone that I've done so far.
that was another thing I was gonna say is even the side characters in this game are so well written. And I saw people complain that Aloy isn't interesting, but
Yeah, I want to
this
talk
is the
about that.
most this
I
is
want to
more
talk about that.
interesting than she was in the first one. And like the side characters are really entertaining. I have maybe it's just because the first one kind of scarred me, but like I've just been waiting for someone to die.
Hmm.
Like I've been waiting
Yeah,
for a big fight where someone, gets
yeah.
cooked.
Um,
But every character I've met so far has been entertaining.
yeah, yeah. So I that was seemed to be a common like theme when I like we were talking about reviews last week and even on Twitter it seemed to be I saw it way more often than I saw with the first game where a lot of people said that Aloy they didn't find her interesting, which I can understand, but and this is I don't know if this is me just like justifying in my head, but the reason she doesn't get to be what people would call interesting, like having like a love life or having it's like the reason she can't be that is because she's the only person capable. She has all of this on her shoulders.
Yeah,
She doesn't have time to flirt with Aaron. She doesn't have time to do all of this all the stuff that the side characters are getting to do. I almost just spoiled
it's
something a relationship in the game at some point. Um, she doesn't get to be that because her responsibility she was literally made to save the world and
yeah.
I find that interesting in itself because there's times where she looks the way she talks to the people in her life the friends that she doesn't let them get too close to her that she is like hesitant to have them help her there's times where she'll like look at them and you can tell she's like I wish I had that but I can't because I have all of this weight on my shoulders.
And like that's I well first and foremost I just like to say I'm glad she can't be in a romantic thing with Aaron because that man's face is awful. But I man, it's not Mass Effect. Like it's not these big like choices have consequences type RPG.
Yeah.
Like it's about humans destroying the world and then her having to fix it.
Yeah, this is it's PlayStation. We all know that they're so much more controlled with their experiences. They
Yeah,
are like they're trying to tell a story here, so you can't have a Mass Effect where it can dramatically change every game
exactly.
in the franchise. Which is it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a different thing.
And
And
it doesn't fit in with the character.
right, right. So yeah, I don't. So I just think that people find different things interesting, and I think that it is like the fact that she was created. She's the only one that can access these like cauldrons. She's the or like the only one that can like should because she is a clone of Elizabeth, who
Yeah.
like yeah. So I think that's interesting. The fact that she can't really have like dynamic relationships with people because of this, I think is interesting. And I don't know. If everyone has their own opinions on stuff like that, but I enjoy it. I really like her as a character.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Uh, do you think that the character's name is Elizabeth because someone made a typo along the way and they just stuck with it?
I often wonder that
'Cause
actually.
it drives me
I genuinely
insane.
do. Yeah.
Like,
Um,
it upsets me so much when they don't say I want it to be Elizabeth.
yeah, I kind of like it. I
Drives me nuts.
it's funny because at first I was like, um, when I played the first game, I was just like, oh, that's Elizabeth, and they're just not like something's not right here because before I only recently started playing games with subtitles on because I used to be a crazy person. So yeah, no, I was just like, oh, I don't know why they're maybe it's some kind of like post apocalyptic translation thing that they're not saying it right. But no, yeah, it's
Just a bad name. It's just in the year, what is it, like 2160? They
well,
just
at least her name
dropped
isn't
Elizabeth,
Elizabeth. At least she gets to be Aloy.
which is a metal.
Yeah,
She got named after a metal and she's killing machines.
that's
But
all. It's just the irony of it all.
the game, a lot of people, I think, what was the Metacritic? 8.7? Is that
It
right?
was yeah, something like 87. Yeah.
Like, oh, duh. It's not. I said this earlier. I put it at a 95. Like, the game's been incredible. Like, I expected it to be a game of the year contender, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it is, I guess.
Yeah, I would probably put it like in the low 90s. Like between a 90 and a 95. Um just because the those moments in combat. I had some performance issues early on. But they were only early on and I haven't had any since. They were really bad. They were like to the point where if they happened regularly, I probably couldn't have played the game. Like one of the bugs that I had made my frame rate drop like dramatic. It was like chugging. It wasn't even like I don't know if it was a frame rate thing. It was like 1 frame a second. It was like everything, but the sound was still going at the proper rate.
Normal case.
Yeah, it was so bad. And
I've been getting one recently, like since I got into the actual Forbidden West, where like in
yeah,
between load screens, it'll just the screen will go black right after a load screen for a minute
yeah, yeah,
and then pick back up and like that. But I mean, it's one of those ones where it's like I can deal with it.
yeah. Well, I haven't had them recently. I don't know. I think there was a patch that was put out recently. Either earlier today or yesterday that helped with a lot of the performance issues. Um, but yeah, I dude, it really has been kind of almost everything that I wanted this game to be. It was
Yeah,
like I said, the combat I wish was improved a little bit, but everything else has just been so just the visuals, the like the conversations, the side characters, just the world
the
itself,
story.
the new machines. The story is different than I even thought it was. Um,
Yeah,
I
I
couldn't
did
have
not
even
see where
predicted
that
that.
one coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can't wait to
So
keep playing this.
before you beat it, and before we get any further into it, from this moment currently, do you think this is going to be a 3 to 4 game series?
I think it will be three.
Okay,
Um, unless
that's
the rest of the story is just like crazy long. It feels like the place that we have to end up is really far away.
yeah.
And maybe they cram it all in. Maybe it actually just plays out faster than we think it's going to. But the some of the antagonists that are introduced, um, I want to know a lot more about them.
That's what I could see there being a third game with ease.
Yeah, and maybe that'll be Mass Effect. Um, who knows?
That was
Yeah.
my first thought.
Yeah, dude. It just I've been loving it so much and I'm so excited that it's here. I really I was getting caught up in the hype earlier today. But then I got home and was playing, and I was like, yeah, I'm still taking my time with this game. Elden Ring is just going to have to wait. Um,
Speaking
I
of Elden Ring,
well, before we do that, you haven't played any other games this last week. Yeah.
no, God no.
Um, well, actually, so I have, and it was I went to my mother-in-law's house on Saturday night with my wife, and
Say it
um,
right.
my wife.
There we go.
So
There we
I brought my Switch, um, just because I obviously couldn't bring my PlayStation 5. So I did play a little Pokemon on Saturday night, and I don't know if it was Horizon or what happened, but
Oh no.
I hated it.
Oh no.
I hated it, dude. I was like, yeah.
Doesn't deserve that.
Okay, so what it doesn't deserve is the praise that it got.
Whoa, whoa,
Um,
whoa.
okay, it's a good game. I'll say
All right.
I mean the praise, like the high praise that it got, because what that sat at like an 86 on Metacritic, and if you're trying to tell me an eight that Pokemon is that close to Horizon, you're out of your goddamn
I
mind.
don't no. That's why I think Pokemon's an 82 to an 85, and I think Horizon is easily 95 to 97.
I think Pokemon should have been like between a 70 and a 75.
I think the place where you and I differ the most is video games.
Maybe.
We we, we like similar things, but we also have very, I guess, different tastes.
Yeah. Uh, just so I was playing Pokemon, and the boss battles in that game are not good. The where you have to throw the food at them, and the you have to like dodge their attacks and stuff. I I just
You
don't
know you
I
can
don't
just you can beat the shit out of them, right? You know that.
what do you mean?
Like the big Pokemon in the wild, right?
No. I'm talking about like when you have to calm the Pokemon, when you have to go and you have
Oh,
to throw the food at them to calm them down. Um, and then they're attacking you and you have to dodge like the attacks I cannot believe that how bad they are. I don't think they're
are you already
fun.
playing it, or
I don't think they're interesting.
I
Um,
think they're fun.
yeah, well that's so Lauren thinks she enjoyed it too, and I'm happy you guys did. I like the battle system, the catching system, the like the somewhat open world. Um,
Yeah,
that is all good. They took a good step, but they got a long way to go before I start considering that a game of the year contender.
I definitely would not go that far,
Yeah,
but I'd say definitely a solid 82 to 85. I like firm on that, closer to 85.
yeah, not me. I just I
That's why. Well, this goes back to our conversations all the time. This is why I don't like reviews because
well no,
you never know.
that's why I think they're interesting. That's why because if you got a bunch of different people either saying the same thing or a bunch of people saying different things like it that I find that interesting to talk about and like why I don't like some of the things because there are some times where you can read a review and someone's saying like Aloy like someone docking or knocking Forbidden West for Aloy not being interesting. Like I am praising like we just find the same story is being told, but we just find different things interesting, and so like that's why I like agree that a Metacritic score isn't everything, but it's still interesting to me at least to like listen to and read what people are saying, and
So
that's how you find people that you do agree with, and then then you trust them, you know? Like
That
if you
to me,
have go ahead.
I mean, I guess. No, to me that's like an echo chamber type thing that I don't like. But it's also like I kind of get what you're saying because I always go to the same like two places for my not just reviews but like gameplay
Yeah.
because they have a certain like the similar style to me.
Right. And so I know that if certain people like the people that I go to, the few people that I know, okay, this guy likes the same games as me. So if a new game's coming out that I'm interested in, he comes out and says that he likes it, there's a really good chance that I do too. That obviously isn't 100% success rate, but I also just like the conversations people have about games whenever they're actually willing to have them. I think a lot
Yeah.
of times, especially in people in like um, the only reason I'm thinking of it now is just because I've seen so much of it today in the Souls community where they're so like gatekeeping, like they're that kind of person where they'll
Dude,
honestly they'll like attack people for questioning or criticizing a decision that one of these games make. I just think I think that's really corny. I like when people are willing to have a conversation and like The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite game ever. When someone says they hate it, I don't get defensive about it. I'm just like, yeah, like I'm cool to talk about it. But once people are like uh getting their feelings about it, then that's a different story.
once the bigotry comes out, it's like, all right, enough said. You lost your right to share an
Right.
opinion.
Right. All right. So yeah, sorry to take a little dig at
No, but
Pokemon there.
speaking of the discourse on Twitter today about Scrolls games,
Uh
Scrolls? No, Souls
Souls
games.
games. Yeah, so Elden Ring reviews dropped today. Uh, pretty good. Pretty good, it seems. I
Most reviews.
believe before I we went live, I checked. It is sitting at the highest rated game ever rated on Metacritic.
Fuck
Um,
that. What?
yeah, it's sitting at a 97 and somebody did like actually like added all of them up and then divided them by however many and by like decimal like points it's higher, but there's plenty of games at a 97.
But I thought Ocarina of Time was. I thought that was sitting at like a 98 or 99.
The chart that I was looking at, oh, you're right, it's at
Yeah,
a 99. I
I
don't
could have
know.
swore. Yeah, because Ocarina of Time has been like the best rated game of all, or the best reviewed game of all time, or something.
Yeah, yeah. um yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I misread it and it was like of the last 20 years or something like that. I
That could definitely be it.
Yeah. Well, it's still a 97 is incredible. You know, it's sitting up there with games like Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, um, Red Dead Redemption 2, I think was like a 96 or something. Overall, overwhelmingly positive reviews for people who uh, are into the Souls games. So I'm what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through um, three reviews. I'm just gonna give their bottom line for them, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So the first one is Games Radar, who gave it a 10 out of 10. Said pros are world and its creatures are both fantastic and frightening, more accessible than from software games, though not necessarily easier. Sheer potential of exploration is jaw dropping. Cons are enemy AI isn't too bright. It's kind of rude. We don't want to make fun of anybody for not being the brightest bulb in the box, but you know, to each their own. Graphics are better from a distance, which means
It looks
outdated.
like shit. It.
uh,
I don't. I have you watched any gameplay?
yes, yes.
Looks like shit.
I'll say the art style is phenomenal, but the graphics are outdated for
Yeah,
sure.
they're
Um,
muddy and gross.
VGC gives it a 5 out of 5. Incredible world, thrilling combat, impeccable art direction, some of the series' best ever boss fights. The cons are occasional technical issues. The graphics are slightly dated, and then IGN gives it a 10 out of 10. Elden Ring is a massive iteration on what From Software began with the Soul series, bringing its relentless, challenging combat to an incredible open world that gives us the freedom to choose our own path. So, you talked a little bit before about this, but
Yeah.
what are your overall thoughts and hype level for Elden Ring?
I were to give this game a review, probably be a 6 out of 10 because I don't like Souls games. They're
Play
not for
it.
me. Nah, I mean, Souls games aren't for me. Never have been. And after watching gameplay today, I mean, I watched, I was talking about people that I trust with their opinion, like similar games. Alana Pierce was the person who I watched her Q&A where she did like 20 minutes of gameplay or something.
Yeah.
And it just looked so boring. And I sat there for 20 minutes and it felt like 5 hours.
Yeah, she
Because
definitely is someone that I don't agree with a lot on games.
I
So
I I bought Sifu because I trusted her opinion so much, and I played maybe 4 hours of it, and that's it. So that
um
was a little disappointing. But this was, I mean, this just doesn't look like it's for me. I don't, and we've had this
which is
conversation
fine.
before
Which
too.
is
Like
yeah.
Souls games aren't necessarily for either of us, but more specifically me. They're just not my thing.
Yeah, so the a big conversation that has been that I've seen at least on my side of gaming Twitter is the accessibility side of things where I get creating a game that the vision that you had for your game. I get that. I get that. Um, but there is something to be said about some accessibility options, and that's not necessarily saying that there should be an easy mode, but there are things that people with disabilities struggle with that these games just make it impossible for them to play. Um, I think they deserve criticism for that because games
Absolutely.
even if so when I say games are for everyone, that's not saying every game is for everybody, but you basically saying, "Oh, because of your disability or because of your deficiency in this, you can't play this. Like we're basically cutting you off. Like this is not for you." It just is like it's like to me if it is the what I think it was Lululemon or something saying we don't make clothes for fat people or so I forgot who it was, but it's the
It was
same
Lululemon.
sentiment. It's the same sentiment to me where it's like it's shitty. Like
I
it
forgot about that. But
um
yeah, it is the same idea that like uh we're not changing shit. Don't play our game.
yeah.
Like that's fucked up.
That being said, this game, I'm at some point I am 100% going to play it. The open world is the directors even talked about how it was influenced by Breath of the Wild. A lot of people the not the combat, the world and the exploration, the comparisons to Breath of the Wild are there, and that is my favorite open world game ever made. So that part of it, that aspect of the game really intrigues me. So I definitely want to give it a shot. I have been hearing like conflicting things about what was it? Games Radar says more accessible than from most from software games. I'm not here. A lot of people are saying that's
No.
not the case.
I've
Um,
everything I've seen has said the exact opposite.
y- I think it is important to understand the difference between like accessible and um like digestible. I like
Yeah,
something that's okay, like this is still obviously really challenging. The combat is still mostly the same. I don't think it's an easier Souls game. It's
it's not.
just there's
Everything all signs point to this being just it's Dark Souls 4. It's like Dark Souls 4 if they stole ideas from Skyrim. Is basically the gist of what I'm getting from it.
I think it's more. I really do think it's more than that. I think that they did the world right. They created a world that rewards you for exploring. When you drop in Breath of the Wild, you have these, like, it's a gentle push in the right in a direction, where this is, I from what I'm understanding, is that's it's you drop, there's no points on the map, it's just, here you are, we'll tell you, we'll gently like nudge you in the way to go, but it's mostly up to you. So, like, figure it out, go explore, go get lost, go, find yourself in whatever situations you can find yourself in, and that seems really exciting to me. The Souls combat has never been my favorite style of gameplay.
Yeah.
Even games that I've progressed through, where it's like difficult, yes, but like it even, like, I played Bloodborne, and I was like progressing through that game, and it's just like I just didn't find it super appealing. Um, I didn't think I just wasn't having fun with the combat loop. So I never really got through that game. Maybe this game won't be for me, but the open world aspects, if it's anything like Breath of the Wild or even better, like some people are saying, maybe that's enough to, uh, it makes it more. I'll find it more interesting and more fun to get through because of that. But yeah, we'll see. I'm really excited to play it. I wish it didn't come out 7 days after one of the games, the game I was probably anticipating the most this year, because I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is coming. Um, but yeah, it what I will say is, I know Horizon Forbidden West is going to be fine financially. Um, like, they're going to be, they're going to make the third game, and this is the second time it's happened to them, though.
Yeah.
Horizon
I
Zero Dawn came out, and Breath of the Wild came out shortly after. Like, generational games, like games that, like, are highly, highly regarded as some of the best games ever made, and then Forbidden West comes out, and then literally 7 days after, it just, like, I wish it got its time to shine a little bit.
I don't
Although, yeah, like I said, they'll be
I,
all right.
I don't think this game is going to be Breath of the Wild. I don't I know that people are excited for it. I don't think it's going to do as well as Breath of the Wild did. That is
What do you
my
mean? What do you mean? Because, like, review score wise, it already has.
I don't give a shit about reviews. I mean like sales and people actually enjoying and playing
Oh,
this game. This is not going to be generational like Breath of the Wild. I don't think. I think this is going to be a I I I don't know how to explain it, but I don't think this is going to be that.
well, I don't
This
think
game
there's any shot this game sells it. There's not many games ever that sell like Zelda
no,
games.
but I
Or,
mean like even like you said, they built the world and it's similar to Breath of the Wild. I don't think people are going to say in 10 years time, well they built this thing and it was similar to Elden Ring. You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't know. A lot of like, I listened to two different podcasts today and read reviews. It seems like, and I don't know what they are exactly yet, just because there's still so much more to explore. But I mean, you don't get this overwhelmingly positive praise for nothing. Um, I do think that there is a really good chance that things that this game does are going to be iterated on in the future. Like I don't know if I think it's a safe thing to say that without Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring doesn't exist. Or even if it does, it's not, I don't know. I think That it sounds so weird to say just because I don't really know them, but I think that this version of Elden Ring does not exist without Breath of the Wild. I think I'm comfortable saying that. Um,
It'd probably be similar to Skyrim. But even that, I think this is another thing you and I disagree on. I think that Breath of the Wild's world is very. It's not. I'm not gonna say very. It is dead
yeah, I
compared to
don't.
like Red Dead Redemption 2,
Yeah,
which in my
I
opinion is the best open world, not best open world game, but the best open world that's ever been done. Because it feels like you're actually in a time and place, like living in that world.
yeah, and that's why everyone gets to have their own opinion because I just don't. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is great, but I just I Breath of the Wild 2 is by far, in my opinion, the best open world that I've ever played. But that's I mean, we've had this conversation before, so we
It
don't have
usually
to
gets
get into
sour
it
pretty
again.
quick.
Yeah. So yeah, whenever I do get to play that, we'll obviously talk about it a little bit more. I'm excited to jump into it, but I'm taking my time with Horizon before
I'm
we.
definitely gonna when it goes on sale or goes on like PS Plus, I might try it. I'm not paying $60 for it.
That's fair. All right. We spent enough time on that. We are going to talk about Call of Duty next, and so
Uh,
this is interesting.
say that properly too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Condupi.
There you go.
So earlier today, it also so while I was putting this show together, it was really hard to find news because everything was about Elden Ring. So, but
Yeah.
there's some pretty big stuff that happened today, which we're obviously going to get into. So early this morning, Bloomberg reported that Activision will be skipping Call of Duty for 2023, which would be the first time since 2004 that Call of Duty hasn't had an annual release. So Activision actually responded later in the day and said, "This is their quote: We have an exciting slate of premium and free-to-play Call of Duty experiences for this year, next year, and beyond. Reports of anything otherwise is incorrect. We look forward to sharing more details when the time is right." Um, this doesn't necessarily like I don't think this is concrete enough to really I can't think of the word that I'm trying to get to. It doesn't disprove what Bloomberg reported.
Not even that. This to me, the way I read this is uh Bloomberg getting their news. I don't know who they got their like who their source was. I didn't see that. But just off of this, it seems like maybe Xbox told Bloomberg no, they're gonna start that like they're gonna do it next year.
Yeah.
And Activision said, "No, fuck you guys. You don't own us yet. We're doing it this year."
Yeah, I don't think Bloomberg really reveals their sources because a lot of times those sources would get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
Um
but they're rarely they're usually pretty good about
yes,
their video
yes.
game reporting.
Yeah. I think there is some truth to this. Maybe they were saying this because they didn't want like investors pulling anything. Like what
That too,
that's kind of
especially
the feeling that I got.
I think
'Cause-
their stock is just rebounding now.
Yeah. We're still getting Modern Warfare 2 this year. Um but so the question that I have for you is, do you think Xbox played a factor in this? The acquisition played a factor in this?
Yeah, uh, I think we talked about this when they acquired them. There he goes. Um, I I feel like it has to. I feel like this has to be Xbox saying like we're not going to rush this game out. Like we would rather wait and receive the profits on our end. Uh, and Activision saying you don't own shit yet. We're going to do what we want.
Yeah,
Like I
I
think they're
don't
going to
know
try to
if
maximize profits before they get rid of the company.
Yeah, so there's obviously been reports about Warzone 2. I don't know. I think it's almost been confirmed that Warzone 2 is a thing. Um,
Yeah. Not to cut
so
you off. In the last 3 months, the stock has gone up $20 per share.
okay, yeah. So they probably are like, we just got into a good spot. Let's not let's not
They're
have
trying
any
to
big news like this.
yeah, they're trying to maximize profits and not get people scared.
Waffles. Um, yeah, I really hope that we don't have a release next year. I hope that they take their fucking time because the dude, even like Warzone, like Caldera, they're like promising all of these changes and all these fixes, and nothing is getting fixed. It feels like it's just
No.
they keep adding content that they want you to buy. Um, yeah, I think this is a really good move for them, and I hope Xbox did have something to do with it. But yeah, we finna see. Next up, yeah, PlayStation Now gets its first ever day and date release, with Shadow Warrior 3 coming March 1st. Um, the title isn't necessarily exciting, but the fact that they have a day and date release coming is kind of exciting. This game actually kind of looks pretty sick. It looks like
Oh, I'm in.
similar to Doom. Did you watch gameplay?
That's that's what I was gonna. Yeah, I watched the gameplay trailer today, uh, and that's my biggest takeaway was this looks like Doom.
Yeah, yeah.
It like to a T. It looks like they ripped it off completely, but fuck it, I'm in.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously, if you have PS Now, it also is coming to Game Pass, I believe. So both platforms get to try this game out if you're part of their subscription service. Really cool. This makes me think that no, no, I don't still don't think we're getting first party titles on whatever this Spartacus thing is whenever it's announced. But I think they're going to be looking at partnerships where, um, in the future, maybe a seafood type release comes
Square
day and
Enix.
date.
Square
Uh,
Enix will partner up.
yeah, potentially like I don't think like a Final Fantasy VII remake part two would, but maybe this like Final Fantasy, like the Strangers in Paradise or whatever the fuck that game's called, Chaos Control. I don't know what it's
Nope,
called.
you're
Um,
not. No more Sonic references until later.
uh something of that caliber. But I think a lot of these games that would probably be like a $40 to $50 release get put on the service.
Yeah.
um it'd be really cool. Because one of my like one of the biggest reasons I bought Sifu was obviously I was like super interested in it, but also my one of my resolutions this year was to play more indie titles, and Game Pass and whatever this is, if this has like if it's a similar vibe to Game Pass, would definitely help out with that a lot because I feel way more inclined to try some of these games. So this would be really cool.
I
Uh
want to say I don't want to run into the next story, but I want to say something that is about our last story, and that's that I thought Sifu was gonna be part of PS Plus for this month.
Well, let's get into it. I'll just change the story and we'll switch that one for last. The
Okay,
PS Plus
so
games for March were announced today. Yeah, go ahead. You can say what they are.
oh yeah, I'll announce them. So it's Ghost Runner, Team Sonic Racing, Ghost of Tsushima Legends. That's all that really matters. We
And
can forget about
then just some other dinosaur game. Ark
we
Survival Evolved is your last game. Four games.
yeah,
Four games for next month.
or big game. Everyone has said that March is like the month for PS Plus, which I didn't realize until
They're
you look at the
correct.
history of it. Yeah, but I thought Sifu was going to be one of these games because I guess late last week and over the weekend, the PS Plus little yellow thing was next to Sifu's name, and people were like, what is this?" And
I'm not gonna
then
lie, I'd be pretty upset, bro.
I would
I would
be
be pretty upset.
furious.
Yeah, I'd be pretty hurt
I would
about that.
demand a refund.
um,
But I'm kind of, I'm glad it isn't. Also stoked about what we got.
yeah, yeah. Not That's not to say that I don't think Sifu's worth the money because I enjoyed the fuck out of that game, and I do
Yeah,
plan on going back and beating it. Like I'm at the final boss, so if I didn't do that, I'd be pretty stupid. Um, but yeah, if you have someone pay for a game, then 2 weeks later give it away for free, like that's gonna cause some.
hurts feelings.
I don't think that it would be just you and I that were upset. But yeah,
No,
Ghost Runner's a really cool game. So even as I know we have Horizon and Sifu and Elden Ring and we have all this stuff going on, at least remember to save these games. Remember to claim them and or even if you don't download them, claim them. Because if you ever need something to play, Ghost Runner is really fucking fun. Team Sonic Racing. I only played on the Switch, so I'm guessing the performance on PlayStation is a lot better. And obviously, the bonus one, Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Uh, this is exactly what this game needed. I wish that they put this out whenever it came out, um, because I feel like it
I
would have established a base. But everyone needs to try it. If you're looking for a game to play with your friends and on PlayStation, a
gotta be Legends.
100% try this game out. It is so
It's
fucking good.
it is the most underrated multiplayer game of the last few years, I think.
Yeah,
No
it's
one
so
gives it a second
hard.
look, and it's so good.
It's just hard because it's packed in, which I think
Yeah,
is the same type of thing that happened with the first Last of Us factions, where that game was packed into the Last of Us, and not that many people gave it the time of day. This needs more credit, and I so this is really cool. This game 100% needed this. The next thing it needs is to come to PC.
I think that's coming. I think that'll
I
be
Yeah.
probably what month are we in? February? Probably April or May. Uh, but I fuck it. I love Legends so much.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's really exciting. Um, the for Arc,
well, fuck
the
Ark.
joke, the joke.
I'll say it.
My youngest brother, this was like his life, and I saw this man. He was a leader of a clan. He was like bossing 30-year-olds around when he was like 15. Yeah,
That's where it gets fun, huh?
yeah, you really live a life there, dude. It's nuts. And
Fuck that.
Sonic Racing, let's go.
I'm
Um,
more excited about Sonic Racing than I am fucking Ark.
well,
Ark can kick rocks.
of course.
And we
All
know my
right.
relationship with Sonic is
The
not the
question that I
best.
have is, what the fuck is Sonic doing racing in a car when he's literally 10 times faster than any car?
Well, this is where the discussion comes from, right? Because the games are bad. What is
No,
the premise of that?
no, they're
The
not.
fastest Sonic games?
They're not bad.
Great. Team
And
Sonic
and
Racing makes no sense because Team Sonic is fast enough to not be in cars, and yet they're in cars.
and the Sonic Racing games are good too.
I'm not saying I've never played those, uh, mostly because the other Sonic games turned me away. But
We're not getting into this, bro. You're not gonna fucking come at Breath of the Wild and Sonic in the same show. We can't have this.
I
Uh,
well, let's hang on. Let's relax.
that would that. Well,
Breath of the Wild's still an incredible game.
okay.
Sonic, I can't say
Uh,
the same.
Fuck off. All right. Last story. E- EA blames Halo for Battlefield failure. This is hilarious, dude. I was like, this really isn't that big of a story. It's hardly worth talking about, but
I didn't even see it until just
you
now.
don't. Okay, so we'll talk about it for a second. Laura Miele. is EA's chief studios officer. Right off the bat, you sound like a cop. Your title alone.
Chief
Uh,
officer?
so
Absolutely.
so following the game's launch and rollout of the day one patch, she said, "quote The game was stable and the early critical reception was good."
It wasn't.
I didn't see it.
Wasn't. Neither of those things existed.
However, Battlefield was then affected by the launch of Halo Infinite. Miele said, "Miele? I don't know how to say it. Don't care."
Who gives a
Uh,
fuck? She's a cop.
an unfavorable comparisons were being made between the Xbox shooter and Battlefield 2042, with Halo perceived as a much more polished title.
So you're whining because your studio didn't polish your game before you put it out? The
That
reception
is
was bad. The reception was this game isn't polished.
that is
And
such
now
a
you're
bad
mad
look,
because
dude.
dude, this looks like shit. And not even that, it makes it look like you didn't actually look at reviews. You just listened to what the people in your office were saying.
Yeah,
Because the game was not stable. From even the betas, everything was bad. Everything was bad. All the reviews was bad.
I mean, what I listen. I know we say that we don't care about Metacritic scores, but I have to know real quick
47
because
has to be in the
she
40s.
she mentioned critical review. Uh, so yeah, I have to know what this is.
It has to be
Um,
in the 40s. There's no way it got over a 50.
68.
No, I refuse to believe that. That's wrong.
Oh well, on PS5 it's 61. 68 was on PC. That's
So you average
still
that to like what? 64 and a half?
sure not good. Um, so I mean, she was obviously capping right away. she she's pulling shit out of her ass.
But how can you say the
Um,
game was stable when all of the media attention was how unstable there was
yeah,
all the bugs and glitches?
a lot of. I mean, you delayed it for a reason, right?
Did
Like,
you see it was trending on Twitter and say, "Okay, this is good news." And
yeah,
now actually look at what people were saying?
yeah. Like I said, this is like hardly a story, but I just think like just don't do this, man. Don't like e- even like so Horizon being like overshadowed by the two games. Gorilla didn't come out and say, "Well, not fair because they made they're more polished than like." No, just and but that's not to say like Horizon actually is a good game.
Yeah.
But
This needs to be
even in
the
that situation, you don't see them complaining or crying about it.
but this needs to be the last Battlefield game for 5 years at least. They need to take a break. Like a
They
pretty
need
good
to
break.
no, they need to fucking fix this game, bro, because people paid $70 to play
It's too
it.
late. It's too
No,
late to it's too late to fix it.
I don't think it is. I don't think it
I
is.
think the
I
player base is gone. If the player base in Halo is gone, the player base for Battlefield is 100% gone.
you okay, but you can do things to help it. Like they are
Well, yeah, but at this point, it's too late, is what I'm saying. Like you're gonna be playing it for the diehard fans. It's like what there's like 100 left.
okay, no. So this is what I'm saying. They take some time and they overhaul a lot of this shit. This 2023 sometime they put it on Game Pass. They say we redid all this stuff. We fixed all this stuff. You're gonna get some of those players back. The people who paid $70 for this game, you just kind of got fucked. Really, like
Yeah,
there was no positive for you that
and
came out of this. I haven't
with
seen many people say that they actually enjoyed the game.
with how gamers are and the grudges they hold, if you paid $70 for this game, you're never coming back. Like
I feel
you,
like you would be more inclined to.
I wouldn't. If I paid $70 and the game was garbage, and they waited a full like over a year to fully fix it, I'm not coming back. Because in a full year, what else is out? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I don't know what they would offer that would help, but like if they gave you like if you purchase this game
Money back.
from this yeah, right. If you purchase this game from this date to this date, you get this and this. Um they I just at least I mean they tried to do this with Anthem and it didn't work, so I guess maybe I'm wrong now that I'm
Well, that's
thinking
the
of
thing
it.
is EA is very, very bad to their customers. They always have been.
Mhm. No,
So like, and
100%.
and if the cop officer is saying like, well, everything we heard was that it was good. This is just Halo's fault. Like, I don't see them putting the time and effort into fixing it. I can see them trying to roll out another cash cow next year, using this as like the foundation, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I just don't think because you got to take a couple years off. You have to.
Well, they took a couple years off for between the last Battlefield and this Battlefield. So I don't think it's time that's going to fix it at all. I think
I just mean the time is just so people forget. You know what I mean?
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because even when this was announced, you had people getting nostalgic for like the earlier Battlefield games, ignoring the fact that the last couple have not been very good. So,
Me,
yeah,
I
right.
was fucking stoked for this.
Yeah. Uh yeah, so just for future reference, any game developer, don't ever sound like this because the entire internet's gonna flame you for it. It's just so corny. Don't fucking do that. But that's it for the news. We have no mailbag segment this week. No questions. So if you are sub to the Patreon, make sure that we are like I said earlier, we are including the mailbag segment into all tiers instead of the top two. So yeah, like John's pointing at, this is patreon.com/John Squared Games. And yeah, so on our socials, we will let you guys know what's going on with the book club. We are going to record that sometime and then probably put it out over the weekend or whenever. I don't know whenever we get our shit together. But that first one, the first book club episode, is going to be free as a sampler to show people what they'll be missing if they're not sub to patreon.com/John Squared Games
And
going
that's it. You're
forward.
only getting one.
You get one. So yeah, just keep a lookout. We'll keep you guys updated as we find things out, and we will be drawing the gift card giveaway. So yeah, just keep a lookout for that. Uh, So yeah, thanks for tuning in again for another week. Until next week, stay horny, stay hydrated. Peace.